Aloha and mahalo for tuning in to tonight's Tohoku TV Japan Mania. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be sharing highlights from our fall 2018 Tohoku and Hokkaido non-stop travel Tohoku TV tour. Team Tohoku TV and I, with non-stop travel super guide Sharon Miyashiro, along with 35 eager Japan travelers, took off from Honolulu and made our way to Narita International Airport,
Non-stop travel.
and then hopped on another domestic flight to Sendai.
If you need assistance on the way home, you enjoy the flight with us. Thank you.
The Tohoku region of Japan is made up of 6 prefectures in the northern part of Japan's main Honshu Island. For me personally, I was very much so looking forward to this tour due to the fact that the last time I was able to spend any long amount of time in the Tohoku area was April, May, and June of 2011, soon after the events of the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Throughout this tour, visiting Sendai, Ishinomaki, and other parts of the affected areas, having seen the damage firsthand, and now to be able to experience the results of each city's recovery efforts was a true reminder of the unparalleled resilience, determination, and perseverance of Japan and the people of the Tohoku region. The next morning, we headed out about 30 minutes from Sendai City. Our first stop for today was the fishing town of Matsushima. For hundreds of years, Matsushima shared the title of Nihon Sankei and is celebrated as one of Japan's 3 most scenic views. The name Matsushima, in fact, is a perfect description of this bay, as Matsu translates to pines and Shima means islands. Matsushima consists of over 260 smaller islands that are covered by pine trees, each with its own unique shape, height, and size. We got to enjoy the scenery via sightseeing cruise that gave us great views of the many tiny islands scattered throughout the bay. In fact, while Matsushima was hit by the earthquake and tsunami, it was thanks to these smaller islands that shielded and helped protect the city from any major damage. Most of the shops and hotels here were able to open after a few weeks or months afterward. As the group and I enjoyed a very calm and tranquil ride, shopping opportunities were also available on the cruise. Our morning continued with a bit of Matsushima's history as we made our way to the Ensuin Temple, located only a few minutes from our cruise. Built in 1646, Ensuin Temple houses the mausoleum of renowned Edo period samurai Date Masamune. After our morning exploration concluded, it was lunchtime and the group would experience a delicacy of Sendai, gyutan. Gyutan is thinly sliced charcoal grilled beef tongue alongside a number of other main dishes. Full disclaimer, some folks really liked it, while others, well, at least they got to say that they tried it. Think of it as really, really chewy kalbi.
What's your first tongue experience? It is? And what will be her last? I already ate most of her. So jiggly.
The next morning, we continued our journey east to the large port city of Ishinomaki. After the 2011 tsunami, Ishinomaki suffered the largest loss of life and property due to the surrounding low-lying waterfront districts and neighborhoods. Tsunami waves reached heights of over 60 feet and over 50,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. Our first stop in Ishinomaki was the Karawaki Elementary School. This is one of the places that I had visited and filmed at in June of 2011. Thankfully, the students here escaped to higher ground above, but the school succumbed to the tsunami waters and a fire broke out that tore throughout the building and classrooms. As we continued through the city, we stopped by the Ishinomaki Community and Info Center, which shares details, media, and video about how the events of the earthquake and tsunami traumatized the city. The Info Center's director, Richard Halberstad, a longtime Ishinomaki resident, shared with us his first-hand experiences of March 11th.
Now this is very far away from the center. It's about 40 minutes drive because Ishinomaki is the second biggest city in Miyagi Prefecture. We have a very, very wide area. If there is a big earthquake, we have speakers set up all over the city which broadcast warnings and sirens. And this actually worked okay at the time of the earthquake and tsunami. So there was a gap of about an hour before the tsunami came to central Ishinomaki. And during that time, the sirens were sounding. They were broadcasting in Japanese warnings that a giant tsunami warning has been issued, please evacuate to high ground. So this all worked fine. Of course, the problem was that while lots of people did evacuate, some people did not for various reasons. We're getting into the realms of hypothesis here, but some people, it's thought that maybe they just didn't make the effort to evacuate at all because there had actually been quite a big earthquake a few days before March 11th, which also had a tsunami warning. But at that time, a tsunami didn't come. So when it came to March 11th, it was kind of a boy who cries wolf situation where they thought, you know, they didn't really take it very seriously. So that's why some people didn't evacuate. Other people maybe misjudged the height of the tsunami and thought if they were in the upper floor of their homes, they'd be okay. But the tsunami that came, as I say, 7 meters in some places, was so big that it just washed away the whole building. And other people did actually evacuate in the wrong way because, again, all Japanese people when they're at school are taught how to evacuate correctly, and they are taught not to use cars, but to walk, run, bicycle, motorbike. The only people who use cars are people who can't move by themselves, elderly people, disabled people. But ultimately, some people did try to use cars, and this resulted in the obvious problem of the roads being jammed up and no one able to move. This is why people are told not to use cars, because everyone's trying to flee in the same direction. And so there were instances actually of people being washed away by the tsunami while they were still in their cars in these traffic jams, which is testament to the importance of evacuating correctly, basically. Yeah, so a lot of things. But a lot of people did evacuate correctly. As I say, you have the elementary school that you're going to be visiting next, right by the hill, and lots of people did evacuate up to the hill, and we actually have a photo in the back there of people still in their processing factory work clothes, like on the hill, looking at the tsunami coming in and destroying the area and so on. So yeah, a lot of people did evacuate correctly. As I say, this is the central area where you are now, and Okawa Elementary School is actually here. And this was a very, very tragic story because there was like a procession of misjudgments and not following procedures, which meant that the children were left waiting in the schoolyard for about an hour while the teachers were deciding what to do and whether to evacuate and where to evacuate. And when they actually decided to evacuate in the end, then there was high ground right by the school that they could have gone to, but this is completely forested, covered in trees, there's no roads there, so they thought it might have been a bit dangerous and were worried about falling trees as a result of the earthquake that had just happened. And they eventually decided to evacuate to an area closer to the river, which sounds rather reckless to do. They had judged it as being high ground and a place to go for safety. And ultimately, because they'd taken so long to decide this, then they actually most of the children got washed away on their way to this high ground. Although even though that happened, even if they had made it to the high ground they were heading for, the tsunami was so big it probably would have washed them away already, is the view behind this. But as a result, over 70 children were killed in this, and a lot of the teachers as well. So the school was basically almost completely decimated by this tsunami. And this has actually resulted in the bereaved families taking the city and the Board of Education to court for negligence in the way they dealt with it. And this has been an ongoing case for several years now. But certainly, you know, a lot of children were killed in this, and this is one of the very sad stories of the disaster. Not the only one by a long shot. I mean, everyone in Ishinomaki basically has either lost family or friends. I'm single myself, so I don't have family here, but of course I have several friends who were killed in the tsunami, and it's just something that we've all had to go through. picture. So we have this map of North Japan, and this hooked area is Ishinomaki. This is the epicenter of the quake, so we're very close to it. But as I say, it still took an hour for the tsunami to get to central Ishinomaki. So there were time to get things mobilized, and they had these helicopters and things. I'm not saying it all worked perfectly. After the earthquake, we lost electricity, water, gas, everything was cut off for a long time. Like in my apartment, I finally got gas comes back online the last of all because it's the most dangerous. I finally got gas back 2 months after, so I spent some time living in shelters as well. And we're talking about central Ishinomaki here, so there are lots of outlying areas where electricity, gas, water came back a lot later than 2 months. And for example, the final traffic light work that came back working near where I live finally came back in autumn of that year. So it took about 6 months to finally get the last traffic light working. It's been a very gradual, ongoing process. That's why the reconstruction is still happening, and that's why this center is still here. So.
Ishinomaki also has a special connection to Hawaii folks that grew up in the 70s and 80s, and for that matter, generations beyond. Ishinomaki is home of the UFO-shaped Mangata Museum, which displays the works of the famed manga artist Shotaro Ishinomori, creator of Hawaii's favorite Japan superheroes like Robocon, Kikaida, Kikaida 01, Go Rangers, and Kamen Rider. Throughout the city, there are tributes to Shotaro Ishinomori via statues, placards, and symbols of his beloved characters. The non-stop travel group and I continued north to Kesennuma, a large fishing port city, for lunch. Kessennuma's seafood market, Uminoichi, specializes in the freshest seafood and
Shark fin?
Shark fin? Okay. Well, you know, of course, it's not legal back home in Hawaii and in the U.S., but here in Japan, it's quite the delicacy, as I understand. So we're going to try that here at Uminoichi. Ikimashou. This is a specialty, right, in this area. Yeah. This is shark fin don. So I have mine over rice. I love this sauce. This everything about this is so good. And she's having the ramen version. Itadakimasu. I feel bad there's a finless shark swimming around, but thank you for your sacrifice. This is really, really, really good. The sauce is so good. I believe at least 12 of the people from our group are actually trying this.
I think I need the wasabi.
Kesennuma special.
the rest of the group tried various incarnations of shark dishes or seafood bowls.
Enjoying our continued time here in Kesennuma in the Tohoku area. Just had an incredible lunch. Now you folks saw that. I don't eat shark fin very often, only because of the fact that it's not quite legal in the US, but here in Japan, let's just say here in Japan it's okay. It's very good. It was fantastic. I had mine over rice, and I loved the sauce. That kind of reminds me of, like, if you have any Chinese restaurant back home, when you have special noodle, the house special noodles, that kind of sauce, that brown gravy, like, for lack of a better description. So good. It was so filling too. Now I want to get some omiyage. I want to get some shopping done. Just a large variety of choices. And I like this because this is also kind of like a stop on the way to our eventual ryokan, the hotel we're going to be staying at. Folks back home love kombu. They love seaweed. So, of course, at any kind of fish market or place like this, you're going to have snacks like this. Big cuttlefish like that. But one of the things that I learned from some of my friends that live out here, this is cheese. I know you're thinking, cheese cuttlefish. Can't be good, right? It's fantastic. Butter popcorn with this inside. Guaranteed. Oh no. You want something good to have your beer with and your highball with or whatnot. You're going to have like some of these crunchy snacks. For those Ika fans out there, get something like this. Oyster flavored French fries. Thumbs up on this. More oyster flavored goods. Cracker senbei. I don't know how to feel about this. So there's a snack called Hapitan, which is really good, okay? It's kind of like very crunchy, like senbei consistency, and it's kind of cheesy flavored. Now this is, of course, because we're in Tohoku, this is a, I want to say a Sendai special. This is Hapitang Gyutang, cow tongue. I don't, it's probably not going to come back to Hawaii with me, I'm just telling you now, but in the Kesennuma area, this is a port town, oceans next to it. As you can see here, this is like one of the popular places to buy fish. Two very special friends that I have with us today. Would you mind introducing yourselves to our Tohoku TV audience?
I'm Diane Figgy.
And I'm Mark Figgy.
Did you folks try any of the shark specialties here by any chance?
Yeah.
I thought that was a yes.
Yeah. Tabimasen.
Tabemasen. I'll take that as a no. What'd you folks have for lunch?
We had a little on-filled crusty pastry. It's really delicious, for sale over there and real cheap, and we really enjoyed it. We're going to have a big kaiseki dinner tonight, so we took it a little easy.
Mark, it sounds like you're very versed in the ways of kaiseki and Japanese dining.
I'm not, but I sure like to eat it.
Diane, for you folks, how many times have you been to Japan so far?
This is our second trip, and of course with nonstop.
Well, I have to thank you on behalf of Nonstop Travel and, of course, on behalf of Tohoku for joining us on this tour. How about something that you're looking forward to experiencing either as we continue through Tohoku or to Hokkaido?
I have a number of things. For years being interested in Japan, I always wanted to see Matsushima, and I have. And I've always wanted to go to Lake Towada, and we're going to go. And I can't wait to see that. Being on the lake and seeing the old hotel, if it still exists or if it's been rebuilt, and just having that experience and moving on through Aomori and onto Hokkaido and having a great time.
I just want to enjoy culture, the people, the food. The other day we had gyudon.
Well, that was unique, all right.
Kyowa.
You two didn't.
Yes, I have to say this is a disclaimer because I have a lot of fishermen friends back home. It is not legal in the U.S. and of course in Hawaii, they substitute jellyfish for it. Little known fact, but it is really good. I just like cuttlefish, but of course with the wonderful sauce on top and everything. We didn't do the cow tongue, and he did.
I did.
Oh, you did do it?
I did try it.
And it was?
Chewy.
Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it. It was chewy.
I understand that they have the really good milk cream. Hokkaido is particularly good at that. I'd like to try.
That we can definitely do. Do you eat ice cream?
A bit. Yes.
A bit can mean one of two things. For me, it means a lot. A bit. Yes, the Hokkaido milk is just super rich and creamy. Thank you very much, folks. Continued journey and adventures with Mark and Diane up here, folks. Aloha.
As our Tohoku trek continued, we headed east from Kesennuma to Hiraizumi town to visit UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Chusonji Temple. Founded in the year 850, Chusonji Temple is nestled between lush forestry, which adds to it being completely immersed in serenity and picturesque beauty. While we all enjoy the tranquility that is in abundance here at Chusonji Temple, I was very thankful to be a part of this tour. Any of the foods that the group enjoys, any shopping that they do, and just being on this tour experience helps the economy here and ultimately the people of the Tohoku region. Our final stop would be the Tsunagi Onsen Lodge and the group's first kaiseki-style dinner.
Kanpai! 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 Kanpai!
Judging by the fact the only thing that could be heard was our JTB guide Sasaki-san's voice, I'm pretty sure everyone in attendance was enjoying the traditional style course menu goodies.
Very good. Outstanding.
Fantastic. Eggplant and renkon, unagi, This is for shabu shabu. Pot with a kombu kelp. That's for shabu shabu.
Oh, it's just multiple. It's good. That's what I
This is the awabi. Grilled awabi.
You should bring a couple more abalone. The abalone is outstanding.
Oh, fantastic.
And also, you can find the sashimi, scallop, tuna, and sea bream, shrimp, and sea urchin on the right. You can eat them all.
The one down in Miyajima was good. This even tips the scale back up to a 10.